What I got right now is I have my individual chemicals separated. This is the sodium benzoate. It's usually pretty like chalky. And this is my potassium perc. And then I have my red iron oxide. So I pretty much just separated my weights, which I've already done. And then I take it in the blender. Don't mix them both together and blend them like that. Don't do that. That's not safe. So I don't do that. So make sure that you don't do that either. So I'm gonna go ahead and blend this off camera. Okay. I grounded it up. It's nice and powdery. Got rid of all the chunks. You'll still want to grind it up. And here, mixing the two with a little bit of residue, I'll clean this out and then do it. Just because there's a little bit in there, but you have to remember that just a little bit of residue with this much potassium perchlorate, the ratio is not correct, so it's not going to just ignite automatically like it would if it was mixed perfectly with 70-30. So still has a little bit in there. Like I said, it needs to be a really good composition, mixed proper ratios, otherwise it won't work. So I'm not worried about that little bit. So we'll go ahead and blend this guy up. And then once these two are blended up, the red iron oxide is the catalyst, which I'll add after. So this is the brand of wax I use. I don't use any type of candle or anything like that, because even though those are only like 96 cents and they're red, they could have some sort of like perfume in there or something that can alter the burn rate. So that is why on my last batch I used this actual wax, and it's just solid canning wax. 2.1, I'm sure I can get away with that. Pretty much all that's left to do is put this in a pot, melt it down, and then add in some naphtha. Now I didn't actually measure how much I put in there. I just poured it kind of like 2 seconds worth, and it comes out at whatever rate it comes out. But it's okay if you use extra naphtha because it's just going to dry out, so don't worry about that. Now you don't want it to be too wet to where it's like turning into a slurry. That's not good. It's going to clog your screen and it ain't going to work out. It will dry, but it's going to take even longer to dry. All right, so I measured out 1 gram of red iron oxide, which I just placed in here. 2 grams of wax. Turn that nice pink color that you're used to. That is when you know that it is mixed up. And then we'll do go ahead and mix up the wax. So I'm going to mix this up and then we'll start again. Okay, next comes the time when I'm going to be melting the wax with my torch. Now's a good time. See that nice wax there? Now's a good time to open the naphtha. You don't want to do this with an open flame. That's why I didn't open it until now. Go ahead and pour some in. I just did that much. I'm not giving an actual estimate on how much it is because I don't know. Swirl it around just a little bit. Take your whistle mix that you've already mixed up and dump it in. Now what you want to do is you want to incorporate it. So usually you pour it in slowly, right? Like you're not going to pour it in all like I did, but I just poured it in because it's freaking windy and I'm not trying to get all this all over me. So I'm trying to get this thing as wet as possible, like real quick. So as you mix it up, you're going to feel like the wax start drying up and it's going to start to get clumpy. So that's what you want. I want to keep it a little bit wet. That's going to keep it from blowing up on you. So just pouring a little bit. That should be fine right there. I'm using a kitchen colander, which if you guys don't know what that is, it's just a little strainer. Now the mesh on here seems to be slightly bigger on this than on the screen. So I'm going to try to mix it on this screen here. And if it doesn't want to go through, then I'll just switch to the colander. What you're going to do is you're just going to mix it and press it through. You'll start to see these little white, powder things or whatever. That's like the chemicals that are not mixed, incorporated properly. So you want to get it through. Now use a little bit at a time though. Don't pour the whole thing on there and try to pour it through, because you have a tiny screen and you're pressing it in there and causing friction, so you don't want it to light up on you. So make sure you don't put a whole lot at one time. Take your time. You just do this, see how it's passing through. That's what you want, because that's going to help mix all the chemicals together, all the naphtha together, and it's going to cause it to blend in. And then, so like I mentioned, you can get yourself a little brush, and I guess be gentle with it, because on mine it's getting caught. So you just do that and it pushes everything through for you. So I don't want to bore you guys with the details. This is what I'm going to keep doing until it all passes through, and then I'm going to do it again. Okay, I pressed it all the way through. It's underneath here, but since it's super windy, I'm not going to lift it up, so I'm going to do this part off camera. I'm taking whatever's on the paper, I'm going to pour it into here, and then I'm going to rescreen it. I use a little brush, kind of go through, and it cleans up the area. Right now I can see down there it's a very, very fine powder. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'll press the camera up again so you see that powder down there. It's nice and fine. And this is the second rescreen process. Now it's a very, very fine powder. It's a little bit drier than before, but at this point I'm not going to wet it again. You just keep pressing it in. Okay, so what you should have left over is this nice pink powder. I'm gonna put it out to dry, but obviously inside I'm not doing it outside. So I'm gonna do a burn test, and then we'll see how good it burns, and then that's gonna dictate whether or not it's gonna be good enough. One thing that I do use is I use parchment paper. I don't use paper such as newspaper or anything like that, because what could happen is you put it on there, and when it's wet, the potassium perchlorate could absorb into the paper, taking away some of the speed of your powder. This thing doesn't absorb like that. It's meant for baking, so it doesn't stick. And this stuff comes right off. So there you see it burned a little bit slower than last time, but that's about the same speed it started off the first time when I burned it. And then as it dried out, it got a little bit faster and faster. So okay, burn test of the one that I've already made whistle rockets with. So much faster, but it's also dry, so that's all you have to look for. If it burns fast, then you know it's a good batch. I'm just going to try to do as many little projects as I can, and we'll go from there. But anyways, that's it for this one, and I appreciate y'all for watching.